Uh, And I again welcome all those who have logged in today for this occasion. And today we are celebrating Healthy Lifestyle Day under the Adolescent Healthcare Week, Adolescent and Childhood Healthcare Week, which is being celebrated by Central IAP from 7th to 14th of November. And I want to welcome our esteemed members, those who have logged in, Dr. Devender Gaba and others who will be logging in shortly. And I want to welcome our esteemed faculty of Dr. Harish Pemde sir, Dr. Anil Sood, and Dr. Rekha Harish, and Saloni ji, who will join in, and our special guest, Dr. Sangeeta Yadav, who has just now joined and has appreciated our efforts so well. I want to extend also welcome the other members of IAP who have logged in today, the school teachers, especially the OPG World Public School from Dwarka and ITIL Public School from Dwarka. We will be probably there because we want to start in time. So there will be more people who will be joining in. I want to welcome Rekha Harish ma'am for coordinating so well and for structuring this program and for pulling in the faculty. We welcome you, ma'am, on our platform. It's an honor to have such an esteemed faculty. And over to Dr. Devinder Gaba, sir.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. As you know, we are celebrating Children Day today. The children of today will make India of tomorrow. As you know, the way we bring them up will determine the future of country. And today, being Children's Day, we could not help but reflect the same. It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men, and rightly so. Since kids are like wet cement, whatever falls on them makes an impression. So we have to love our children unselfishly, as they are hands by which we take hold of the future. Children are the future of the country and foundation of society. Hence, every child and adolescent's well-being should be taken care of. Children Day is also celebrated to raise awareness on children education, rights, and to see that proper care is accessible to all children and adolescents. So this Children's Day, let us enable learning, prioritize kids and adolescents' health, and ensure their well-being. IAP West Delhi has decided to celebrate the day as Healthy Lifestyle Day today. We have with us experts in the field of adolescents, Dr. Rekha Harish Madam. Welcome, Dr. Rekha Harish ma'am. Dr. Harish Pemde sir. Welcome, sir. Dr. Anil Sood sir. Welcome, Dr. Anil Sood. Dr. Sangeeta Yadav ma'am. Dr. Deepak Gautam and Dr. Saloni Seth. Welcome to all the speakers and faculty. Now I again hand over to Richa for further progress of the show.
Thank you, sir. For the first talk, I again invite Dr. Harish Pemde, Director, Professor of Pediatrics. He's in charge of Unit 1, Department of Pediatrics in Lady Hardinge Medical College. Sir is head of WHO Collaborating Center for Adolescent Health, and he's a vice president of International Adolescents Association of Adolescent Health. He's a chairman of IAP Adolescent Health Academy, and he's a general secretary of IAP Medical Education. And sir has many articles to his credit and many journals and even books. And we are honored to have him on our platform. And our students are blessed because they will be given guidance from such an experienced expert. I welcome Dr. Harish Pemde, sir. And sir is going to tell us about promoting adolescent health care.
Dr. Pemde sir. Dr. Pemdek, are you in?
Received Paytm payment of 600 rupees.
Dr. Pemde, sir, you're not audible, sir.
I'll just call him because he may be disconnected.
Call him, I think.
अच्छा अच्छा डॉक्टर डॉक्टर पेमडे का फोन आया भी वो कनेक्ट नहीं हो रहा है कहते हैं आप सीड करो डॉक्टर पेमडे का फोन आया अभी
हाँ जी सर हाँ जी
हेलो
हाँ जी सर आ गए
हाँ ठीक है नाउ आई स्टार्ट थैंक यू फ्रेंड्स एंड वेरी गुड आफ्टरनून एंड हैप्पी चिल्ड्रंस डे टुडे एंड प्लीज bear with me some background noise as I am at a railway station and speaking from here. I will finish in about 10 to 12 minutes. So this subject is very important, promoting adolescent friendly healthcare. Actually, whenever we go or some adolescent go to some facility, healthcare facility, clinic or a hospital, we have to be adolescent friendly. This is my brief CV. I think we can skip this part. Can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah, still the next slide. Please keep on pushing to the next slide. Again, just keep on pressing the next button so that next slide will come. Yes. So improving adolescent health is very important for everyone, and at least for that one patient who comes to us, pediatrician or any other healthcare facility. So providing a friendly healthcare is very important. Next slide, please. And whenever you work for adolescent, this gives triple dividend. They help adolescents of today, adults of tomorrow, and to the next generation also. And it is said, if you invest $1 in adolescent health, you get benefit equal to $10. So 10 times benefits are there for investing in adolescent health. Next slide, please. I think you can still go for the next slide. So adolescents are very important. Every fifth child is an adolescent in India. And yes, you can go to the next slide. And they are the common problem like peer pressure, some kind of anxiety, stress, depression. Mental health issues are very important. At the same time, physical health issues are very important, related to nutrition, related to anemia or lack of blood, and short height, more taller height, less changes, more changes. So even physiological changes which are occurring during puberty can be problematic to some adolescents. Not all, but some adolescents can have problems with that. Okay, next slide, please. So we need someone to tackle these problems at home, in the school, and also in a hospital. So we believe at Indian Academy of Pediatrics that it is the pediatricians who can take care of these population very well. And of course, the parents, the teachers, they also have to take care of the various regular and common issues of adolescents at home and at schools. Next, please. So the clinicians should have good skills of communication, verbal and non-verbal, and good history-taking skills, good interpersonal communication skills. Then only we can become adolescent-friendly. So teen clinic is a concept where teenagers or adolescents, they come for various healthcare requirements, and everyone in that teen clinic or that particular healthcare facility should be adolescent friendly. We shall learn more about it in the next slide. Next slide, please. Yes, we can go through the next. So adolescent clinic aims are very, very important. So we have to encourage consistent, healthy lifestyle of adolescent, and we need to detect various issues, physical, emotional, behavioral problems in adolescent, to provide some kind of a parental guidelines, and also to provide treatment and anticipatory guidance and immunization in that adolescent clinic. So it should be a one-stop clinic for all needs of an adolescent client. Okay, next slide, please. These are the services which are to be provided. Called immunization, some kind of anticipatory guidance about the changes which are to occur in near future, and sexuality and life skills education is very, very important to be given to both boys and girls. And we have found that few days ago only one young person died in gym. So this kind of a sports pre-participation evaluation becomes very, very important to prevent such catastrophic events at the sports ground. Next, please. Yes, we can go to the next slide. Yes. So these are the certain characteristics. Still push the next button of the adolescent-friendly health services. And these are the basic principles of adolescent services. They should, next please, just keep on pushing the next button. And these services should be available. They should be accessible to the adolescents, and approachability should be very, very easy. Acceptability has to be easy. And these services should be very, very appropriate and affordable. Actually, for any adolescent-friendly health service, this is the dictum that talk to your adolescent clients, ask them what they want, the timing, the services, the place. They will tell you what is adolescent friendly. So this becomes very, very important. If we can make a small advisory group of adolescent clients, then they can tell us everything about adolescent friendly health services. Okay, next slide, please. Just keep on. So an ideal adolescent clinic should have a waiting area which has some ambience which is liked by adolescents. It should have exclusive timing, so that is school timings finishes at 2 p.m. Then they should have afternoon timings or evening timings. Age appropriate health education material, posters, pamphlets should be there. And of course, most important thing is that everyone who is working in such a clinic should behave in an adolescent friendly manner. And they should provide some kind of an inpatient care if possible. And privacy and confidentiality are the two very, very important things which are to be maintained as a policy in an adolescent clinic. And of course, consultation room and ward should be as per adolescents' likings. And it is again best thing to invite some of the adolescents who are otherwise healthy, and they can tell us this is correct for us, this is not so good for us. Okay, next slide, please. Next slide, please.
Yes.
Dr. Rita, next slide. Haji, hello. Yes. So when I talk about the confidentiality, then there are certain conditions where confidentiality can be breached or can be broken, especially when we find that there is some kind of abuse which is happening, or simply if we anticipate that there can be some harm to the adolescent client, or the adolescent client can cause harm to others. So in such situations, we take permission of the adolescent, ask them that with your permission, we can breach this confidentiality clause and talk to your parents or teachers, okay, so that your best interests are taken care of. So always we work for the best interests of the adolescents. So the confidentiality is not an absolute one. We can break sometimes, and these are the few indications of breaching the confidentiality. Next slide, please. Go to the next slide. So the consultation should be have a good amount of time, and out of this 40-45 minutes, doctor must spend at least 5 to 10 minutes. The rest of the time, the counselor or psychologist, they can spend with the child, or the nurse can spend. But it takes about 45 minutes to 1 hour for the first consultation, and subsequent consultation also depend. If there is a need of some counseling sessions or some kind of a psychotherapy, then those consultations definitely require more time. But doctor's time can be limited if we can manage well this consultation and divide it amongst the doctors, counselors, nurses, or other counselors and psychologists in our team. Next slide, please. And of course, at the end of consultation, we must debrief to the child and to the family. And in the consultation, there will always be an alone interview. That means the doctor or counselor will meet adolescents alone and meet the parents alone and together also. So that is how all the problems come to the fore, and we can come to know the background or basic issues behind the given problem. Okay. And of course, some precautions we have to take. As a doctor, we all know that whenever an opposite sex person is there and if we are examining, we need to have some chaperone. In case of adolescent, if the provider is a female and the client is a male, then also we need some kind of a chaperone or the person who is with us. That can be the parent of the child, that can be the nurse working here, or anyone working in the hospital can act as a chaperone. So we ensure that privacy is there, but again, at the same time, other problems are also not there. Okay. Next slide, please. Not many equipment are needed for adolescent-friendly health clinic. We just need a stethoscope, weighing scale, oxidometer, BP instrument, and some of the skills which are required. Yes, you do need some skills which are inbuilt, which have to be learned by all those who are providing the care. Next slide, please. Some kind of screening tools are required. Either we have to learn them, or this can be written tools like two-question patient health questionnaire. This is used for depression, or this is scared for childhood anxiety. And these tools can be used, but the provider has to master these tools. And also, we need to be very, very careful and sure that what happens next when we find that there are some problems which is detected in the screening tools. These are only screening tools. If some problem is found, then we need to confirm that problem and act appropriately on those problems. Next slide, please. These are the various tools which are there. Okay. Next slide, please. HATS is a very, very important method for eliciting the adolescent history. This history is very, very important in any adolescent consultation. In the HATS history, we move from non-sensitive issues like home and education, employment, to some sensitive issues like activities beyond school times, depression, suicide, sexuality, and spirituality. This is a very, very important thing. So all the healthcare providers must master how to elicit HATS history after providing adequate privacy and confidentiality. And sometimes completing HATS history may take 2 or even more sessions, but this is a very, very important piece of workup of adolescent client. Next slide, please. We can escape all this. So this is very advantageous. We come to know about everything adolescent is going through, and this many a times provides the real problem. It happens that adolescent come with headache or pain abdomen, but real problems may be something different. So we should be very, very familiar in using HATS history. Next, please. Physical examination should be done only when it is so much relevant. Only relevant examination should be done. We may not examine in detail in the first visit, but yes, in second or subsequent visit, we must have at least once the complete physical examination, general examination, as well as systemic examination. If adolescent has been facing some medical issues which may indicate towards presence of some disease, the relevant examination should be done. But we should definitely focus on finding some refractive error, eyesight problems, scoliosis of the spine. These are very, very typical things which may be there masked by something else. So this should be checked, and any other thing which is indicated depending on the history, depending on the past problems, the examination should be done. Okay. Of course, we have to provide adequate privacy for examination. Next slide, please. Immunization is very, very important. Government of India says immunization during adolescence is by TD vaccine only, but there are many vaccines, and we are hoping that HPV vaccine will be included in the national immunization schedule very, very soon. This is also an opportunity to find if any vaccine has been missed earlier during childhood. Those vaccines can be given during adolescence also, but do ask for HPV vaccine, especially the girls. Boys can also be given HPV vaccine, TD immunization, and as relevant, as required, other vaccines can also. Next, please. So there are certain barriers in providing these care. So maybe shortage of staff, untrained staff, lack of hands-on training, frequent change of the people in a medical college setting becomes a barrier, but we have to take care of them. Next slide, please. So in pediatric clinic also, lack of space and lack of the time, these becomes the barrier, but we have to take care of it. Next slide, please. So we may have the solution. We have to learn about how to take care of the various barriers and find the solutions amongst ourselves and remove these barriers. Next, please. I think we can skip. Government of India has a RKSK program. Next slide, please. My train is there. I'm really very sorry. I have to rush toward that. Can I request Dr. Sangeeta Yadav, madam, who can speak a little bit about these issues which are there? Friends, very sorry for that.
Thank you.
I have
Thank
to
you,
just
Dr.
rush
Harish.
onto the
Thank you
platform.
so
Thank
much,
you.
Professor Harish Pemde. It is very actually kind of you that you have done a lot of efforts, and at railway station he is connecting with us. Dr. Harish Pemde, thank you so much. Sangeeta madam,
Thank you. I was really appreciating Harish's courage to speak when he's himself in
Yeah.
transition.
Yeah.
That's where he left. So I was, he has of course asked me to take over, but I have not seen the slides. Anyways, this is more of just taking it forward from where he has left, and we all are aware of the fact. Dr. Gaba, you are changing the slide, or Dr. Richa is changing the slide?
I'm changing, ma'am.
Okay, then what we do is that you bring all the matter on that slide so that I know what the gist is of that slide, and so that I can take it forward. And I think very few slides must be left now by now, because we are now at the tail end, and we all know that being pediatricians, having looked after the child right from the inception and then the birth, and having taken it forward and going through with them with all some of their illnesses, as well as acute illnesses, as well as chronic illnesses. So there we are, and I'm very familiar because I have been part of this pediatric endo clinic and adolescent clinic, and where we have these children who have been with us for a very long time, and we have to transition them into the medicine department so that they are taken care of. And one thing I will always add over here is that they take a little time to settle down with the adult physicians to whom we are transiting these children, and they come back to you again and again for their issues which need to be addressed. So we have to take into account that we do try to do a smooth transition in cases of chronic illness, especially asthma,
Yeah,
diabetes.
ma'am, intervene. I request Dr. Harish Pemde, sir, to please mute himself.
Okay.
It's causing disturbance.
Okay.
It'd be possible, ma'am. Can you re-announce about it? Dr. Harish, sir.
Harish. Maybe
I
he's
think,
not realized it,
he
so that
he
is
has
why he
gone.
must
Yeah.
be still online, no? While
I'll
he,
just call him. I'll just call him.
Just call him, sir.
Yeah.
should I proceed?
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Carry on, ma'am.
So to facilitate this transition towards the adult physician, it has to be a little planned, and along with that, we also need to address their psychosocial issues, their educational and vocational issues, and how that whole program is going to be centered around the child, the family, and along with the healthcare provider.
अच्छा join कर ठीक है right okay. Yes, ma'am. Continue.
Yeah, next slide. So we all know about the adolescent friendly health services, and can I go to the previous one? And these adolescent friendly health services, we need to coordinate with the other specialities which we have been doing so far. That is the gynecologist, the psychiatrist, the endocrinologist, and the ophthalmologist. And also we have to see where the services have to be provided, whether it's in the community center or through telemedicine, or some of the messages are going through school, like we have our audience from the school also. So some of these messages can go through the school, through the healthcare centers of the school, and this is a very good kind of an opportunity, talking to everybody together and sharing some of these information, as well as kind of addressing their. I was muted.
Ma'am,
Richard?
only for a few seconds. Only for a few
Okay.
seconds. 1 or 2 seconds.
Okay. So we move next. Okay. Dr. Gaba is trying to say something.
Start, ma'am.
Yeah. We are done with this. Can we move
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
next one? I think that last one is just take home messages. So as elaborated by Dr. Harish over this presentation, it's very important that anticipatory guidance. That's what I was talking about when I said that when we are talking to in the school forum, or and we can tell them about how to guide them to related to various issues which need to be addressed, and at a larger scale, so that that exchange of messages occurs between the whole school going adolescents. And also counseling is a very important component of adolescent healthcare, and we know that we have a little issue related to the counseling, because counselors are a little less available as compared to the others. And community members, we have to make them aware. That's why we are holding these various symposiums in not only in our forum but also going to the schools for that. And you all have been doing various this thing programs and events in the schools also to give these messages to them. And it is very important that they know whom, if there is an issue, who has to be referred to, where they have to be referred to. So the referral part also gets connected, and we have to build up linkages with the higher facilities and the specialty clinics. And that's what we are doing through these kind of programs and events. We are disseminating that kind of information also. Thank you. Dr. Pende was I saw him, no, he had come over. So just in case he wants to add a final message for that, otherwise,
Dr.
thank
Sangeeta,
you very
ma'am.
much
First,
for the
let me
last minute
thank you so.
Stepney thing,
Yeah.
which I had to shell in.
Thank you, Dr. Sangeeta, ma'am. Thank you so much. Now, Dr. Pemde, you want to say something? Very kind of you, ma'am, Sangeeta ma'am. Uh,
Thank you.
Should we proceed, sir? I think we should proceed, Doctor.
yeah.
Yes,
Thank you, Dr. Sangeeta ma'am, for taking
Thank you.
over. And what I could gather from the first lecture amidst so much of noise was that we need to give an isolated time to adolescent health clinic.
Richa, can I just make a 30-second comment?
Yeah, Dr.
Yeah, yeah.
Pemde. Dr. Pemde,
Yes, sir,
please,
please, sir,
please.
go ahead, sir, please.
Good, yeah.
We had invited you.
Richa, I just wanted to say thanks to Sangeeta madam for rescuing me in my time.
Yeah.
And this is so nice of her. And just one last comment, because in this session, all are joined. So adolescent-friendly health services simply means we are providing services as wanted and demanded and needed by the adolescents and their parents. So when they go to some clinic, they go to some hospital, they can very well ask for friendly services. They can ask for privacy. They can ask for some confidentiality. These are their right. And as a service provider, pediatricians and all of us must be able to provide these services. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. And
Thank
sorry
you.
again for
Thank you, Professor
Thank you,
Pemde.
sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Richa, carry on.
Yes, sir. Just one thing that we need to devote isolated time in our OPDs, and that can be done first by the pediatrician and then by the psychologist, and especially who's dealing with adolescent medicines. Like he said, isolated 45 minutes has to be there. And like sir summed up, it has to be what is coming from the adolescent, what he needs, what kind of an attention. If he needs confidentiality, then definitely it should be provided. Will any comments, sir, from anybody else? Dr. Puneet Kumar is there, Dr. Dinesh Goel from our IAP EB.
Is Dr. Rekha Harish there? Has she joined?
Yes, sir.
She joined? Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Welcome to IAP West Delhi, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you for
and
having me in.
You were so packed up with your thesis work and so much.
It's all
And in spite
a
of
part
that,
of my
she has
thing.
joined and she will devote 1 hour with us.
Thank you.
you
Thank you
so
for
much.
giving me the honors.
Yeah.
It is an honor to be with you all.
Dr. Richa, please introduce Dr. Rekha.
I'm honored to welcome you, ma'am, Dr. Rekha Harish. She's a brilliant academician and she has served her life for establishment of Government Medical College, Jammu and Kashmir Hospital. And ma'am she's a core member of IAP. She has held the position of Vice President North Zone in the year 2019. And she has been an expert from India Technical Advisory Group for non-communicable diseases, Asia Pacific. She has been nominated to FSSAI as an expert for laying guidelines for school canteen as well as on packaging labels. And she's received Women Achiever Award twice, Rotary International and also from Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. IAP group and Jammu and Kashmir group. And I'm honored and privileged, ma'am, to introduce you and we welcome you for your expert comments.
I'm really thankful to you all for having me
Thank you,
in
ma'am.
and giving me the honors of being with you all and learning so much from all of you. So can I share the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, you are sharing or should I share?
As you wish. I can do it.
Acha, you do it. That is better. I am stopping.
You have
share.
to allow me.
Yeah. I'll just do that.
I'm still disabled. Not permitted.
Just 1 second. Now
You'll have to permit me.
Yeah, I have done, ma'am.
Okay, sir. Is my screen visible?
Yeah, it is visible. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Take it to slideshow, ma'am. Yes.
So we are here to take up a brief message regarding healthy lifestyle. And our basic theme will be to say no to junks and yes to physical activity or exercise. The topic assumes a huge significance in view of the globacity. It's a global issue now and the most alarming issue of the current times, which has been really exposed and has exposed our healthcare systems during the current pandemic, when this epidemic has been fueled by the non-communicable diseases epidemic which is going along with it. These are the figures which show the prevalence of obesity according to CDC guidelines. However, as we'd see that there is a huge difference between the fatness and the fat content of body of Asian people as compared to the West, we cannot extrapolate the Western figures to and the Western cutoffs of BMI to our own population. And we have to think of overweight and obesity at much lower cutoffs of BMI. The figures for which will not be available till we do them ourselves, till IAP takes this agenda itself, because whatever we get in the literature is according to the same adult international cutoffs of BMI and the WHO standard deviations for less than 5 years of age group. However, the projected prevalence is by ICMR that by 2013, 17.5% of the children will be obese. And by 2030, 1 in 10 obese child will be from India. Now, why are we bothered about nutrition? Not only because it affects the growth, it affects the development, it affects the sports performance or the physical activity part. It prevents non-communicable diseases and is associated with a better body image and the daily activity and the daily routine life of the child is affected by that. So first we talk about the healthy diet. Why is it important in adolescent period? We see that adolescent child gains around 20% of the adult height and 50% of the adult body weight and 40% of the adult skeletal mass during the adolescent period. And it comprises more of muscular deposition in boys and deposition of fats in girls during this time. And of course, the body is preparing for being a future healthy mother or a father. And the rapid growth is often associated with micronutrient deficiencies, which need to be addressed to. And we also need to reduce the risk of non-communicable diseases, which have an onset well before the age of adolescent period. Now, what are the factors which affect eating behaviors in adolescents? The adolescent, as you know, is the most rebellious and the most trying to be independent, experimenting all the time, and running more towards media and peers for advice rather than their parents or their family members. So the growing independence, their concern for their looks, the need for peer advice and acceptance of that advice, the laying the roots of active lifestyles. There is also lack of adequate, or you say the little knowledge which is permeating through media, which is often misleading and full of misleading claims which can affect the child. And the child doesn't have that much time to devote to other areas besides scholastic pressures. He is spending much more time on the social medias and screens, and he has developed food fads or is influenced by the food fads of his peers, his friends, and of course the fast food culture which is growing all around him. So in this scenario, to tell a child what is a balanced diet, it often sounds very theoretical and very impractical, because this child has been learning from the role models, that is his parents, his family members, his grandparents, what he has been learning throughout his life for the last 10 or 15 years is now to be reverted back, sort of, because most of the family members have indulged into the same eating behaviors, same eating life patterns, same similar screen time this thing addiction, and similar behaviors of activity as well by the time the child is an adolescent. And so adolescent age group might not be the right time to prevent or teach what is a balanced diet. The correct time would be right when we are starting at birth. We start with the exclusive breastfeeding, and then at the age of 6 months when we add the complementary feeding. Because the first junk food or the first unhealthy food that the child receives in his lifetime is the top milk, and the first feed which he receives at the age of 6 months is another addition of another tin from in the form of a complementary feeding. So we need to curb that tendency right from the beginning. And there should be a concept of balanced diet which needs to be told to these families and children according to their age groups and their requirements of activity. So the carbohydrates, we know half of the, almost half of the food should be comprising of carbohydrates, 10 to 30% around for proteins, and 25 to 35% for fats, maybe 40% in infancy. And the child should be having 3 meals and 2 snacks in a day concept. And snacks, when we use this term snacks, we have to imply that these, we do not imply the ready-mades or the processed snacks which are available in packets, because that is the definition of snacks these days with which these children carry off. And snacks implies homemade or a piece of whole fruit, or homemade snacks from ingredients which are readily available in the kitchen of every home, and comprise of carbohydrate, proteins, and fats. They should ensure having a breakfast daily, because these children who are on prolonged screen, they are busy with the social media late night, they sleep late, their sleep is disturbed, they get up late, and once they get up late, the usual tendency is to just change the clothes and have a glass of milk with 2 spoons of some health supplement, so-called health supplement, and then go. Or if they are in a lot much of hurry, the parents will give them money so you can have something in the school. So this is the tendency which needs to be curbed strongly to ensure having a healthy and a breakfast daily, because if we want to suppress insulin resistance, we need to ensure breakfast and avoid skipping of meals. Why? Because skipping of meals is 70% of the times associated with having a junk food or an unhealthy meal after few hours. Now, how to monitor the calorie intake? It might not be important from the perspective of a child that to count or monitor the calories, which may be very difficult for him. But from a medical professional point of view, we need to understand that roughly 2100 to 2400 is the calorie requirement of the adolescent girl, and the 2400 to 2800 for a boy, because this child is gaining height, he is gaining weight, and if we measure the weight and height at least 6 monthly and record the BMI accordingly, we will be able to monitor the growth as well as the intake hand in hand. So roughly these foods have been divided into like go foods, just for the children to understand, because go foods means energy giving. Energy giving mainly comprise of cereals and fats and oils, and of course sugars. Cereals should be the culturally acceptable, locally available, and traditional cereals of the family. Like North Indian cereals choice will be different from a South Indian choice. So we do not change or interchange the cereals. The locally acceptable, culturally acceptable ones are fine. Then fats and oils, using a mix of rotatory oils, which we call them, and using a sufficient balance of N6 and N3 oils by encouraging groundnut, sesame oil, then sunflower oil, rice bran oil. So they should be used in rotation, because no oil is completely balanced or completely does not give you the right proportion of mufas and pufas. It is actually to be blended according to this. And if that is, which is practically never possible, so what we advocate is the rotatory oils, so that you maintain a balance of not more than 8% and maximum 10% of the saturated fat, and sufficiently have an N6 to N3 component, which is around 2:3:1. Then sugars. Like if we go by WHO says that the maximum energy component which should come from sugars should never exceed 10%, more than 10% of the daily energy requirement. However, it says that if it is less than 5%, it is better. So if we take it on an average, like we take roughly 2000 as the calorie, so it comes to around 50 grams as per WHO. But since the preferred is less than 5%, so we restrict to 25 grams of a sugar in a day. And this includes all the sugars which are there, because most of the processed foods which we are having, even the salty foods, they are having lots of sugar. The snacks are having lots of sugar. And same is true for sweet things which are loaded with sodium. So this takes into account calculating all the hidden sugars as well as the added sugars. Then we come to the grow foods. Grow foods are the ones which are mainly comprising of proteins, the pulses, and there should be around 2 to 3 servings of around 30 grams of each of any different kinds of pulses. A mixed blend is always better, because it gives a variety of amino acids which are required. And it's not necessary that the child should be a non-vegetarian. If the family is a vegetarian, they can be encouraged to have vegetarian sources of proteins equally well. Then milk and dairy products, around 500 ml each. And American Academy of Pediatrics states that around after 2 years of age, every child should receive low fat milk or the skimmed milk. And when the Western world talks of skimmed milk, they talk in terms of cow's milk. But when it comes to India, we are tuned to taking or consuming buffalo's milk, which is having double the fat amount of the cow's milk. And then when we talk of toning it, so we reduce only to the level of cow's milk. So our standards and the accepting those standards has to be done literally in spirits, also practically, before we emulate them. Then the protective foods or the glow foods, which have been the sources of various vitamins and minerals, they are essential part, because first of all, they do not only provide the minerals, the vitamins, they also provide the major macronutrient which is being emphasized these days. And that is, besides protein, fats, and carbohydrates, the other macronutrient which is important for every age is fiber. And fiber intake must be ensured right from we are starting it right from the age of 6 months. So though the guidelines are not there for the fiber intake for less than 2 years of age, but after 2 years of age, 5 to 10 grams plus the age is the rough formula for giving the fibers. And one whole fruit, like one whole apple, average size apple, will give you around 3 to 6 grams of fiber. And we have to assess on that, so that we receive maximum permissible fiber intake is 30 grams in a day, because more than 30 grams will be associated with decreased absorption of some nutrients and may not be that beneficial. So we here it is recommended that you have at least 2 servings of fruits and then 2 servings of vegetables. So roughly, if we boil it down to practically advising a child, the fruits and vegetables, the different colors, you should have 5 different colors of 5 portions of different fruits and vegetables in a day. And the average adolescent intake should be 5 cups of such fruits and vegetables. So that will make the fiber intake from 15 to 30 grams per day. And besides the fiber intake from the fruits and vegetables, the grains and the cereals which we are taking, they should be whole. Although American Academy of Pediatrics will say that at least 50% of the grains should be not be refined, but preferably if we have all the whole grains as whole grains, it is better. Then of course water is absolutely essential and the best drink which we can serve or make a child learn from this thing. So now it comes to the balanced plate or a balanced meal. So if we go by this picture and make it easier for these children and the parents to understand, our half of the plate which should be in our meals should have fruits and vegetables, and remaining half should have 1/3 as proteins, 1/3 as cereals and this thing, and it should be accompanied by low fat milk, curd or yogurt, whatever it is. So roughly the idea is that half of the plate should be covered with fruits and vegetables, and they should be ensured that these children consume them and not the vice versa. Breakfast, as I've already emphasized, is the most important meal of the day because it is being served after 12 to 16 hours of fasting, and missing it means increasing your insulin's resistance. Then the other thing which needs to be avoided in breakfast is these so-called health supplements, and most of us in the medical professionals are also when we don't have time to explain to the patients or the parents, okay, my child is weak, because this is the most common complaint which is there of the parents, that my child is weak, he looks thin, and when whole of the family is obese, the normal child also looks thin, and they always ask for a tonic or some supplement. So these parents tend to use the supplements which are advertised falsely and have misleading claims of making the child tall or making the child beautiful or making the child stand first. And we need to teach these parents the sugar spike which occurs after consuming these health supplements and makes them more prone to insulin resistance later on. A word about junks. The junks is the term which has been coined by IAP around 2 years ago, and it not only includes the J component includes the fats with the HFSs, that is the high in fat, sugar, and salt. So as the name implies, it is not essential that the HFSs will only be available in the market. At home also we can make HFSs. Then the ultra processed food. The ultra processed food basically for the children to understand, they should understand that the food companies they start the basic ingredient may be derived from food, but the actual process of making it packed and making it in a shape which is presentable, which is there on the shelf for many months or even years, and still it is ready to eat. They need to process that food, chemically ill treat that food, put so much of sugar, salt and fat, put so much of preservatives, coloring agents, and taste augmenting agents, and then so many of chemicals in it that when it comes to the packet, there is barely anything which is derived from the food. So what is there is a mixture of chemical blends and a mixture of preservatives, food additives, coloring agents, which is luring for the children and makes them, and it is hyper palatable. And once the food is hyper palatable, it becomes addictive. So this is the kind of food which we are turning towards as our kitchens are shifting from the homes to the industry. Then nutritionally inappropriate food. If we go on at home also, we can make nutritionally inappropriate food. If we go on recycling or using the same oil which we used 10 days ago for making puris and paranthas, and using it again, it has already converted into trans fats. There is no need of getting anything from the market. Now, this trans fat, the children must understand this is the worst form of fat which can occur on this planet, because not only it is reducing the good cholesterol, it is also increasing the bad cholesterol too much. And this is the reason once it is added with obesity, the things go haywire. And we are finding, and it's not a news, it's a daily news that every day a 20 to 30-year-old child is still a child for us, who is dying or developing heart attacks. Then the caffeinated, carbonated, and colored drinks. C stands for these agents. Now, as far as the caffeine component is concerned, caffeine is one agent which is never labeled on food. We have tried it. We have written to the FSSAI also for this, that caffeine is a content of tea. It is a content of coffee. It is a content of so many cold drinks. It is a content of so many energy drinks. It is there in so many chocolates, this thing. So a child who, especially who before the exams, when they tend to stay up the night and they go on drinking coffee, they, on one hand they have an energy drink, and another hand they have chocolates and all. So they are pumping caffeine into their body, and once their CNS is hyper stimulated, they stay awake. But when during the exams, they might go off to sleep, or even they might be totally knocked down. And not only this, the caffeine content may reach the lethal levels and lead to heart blocks and arrhythmias, and even deaths, which have been reported by excess of caffeine intake. Then the carbonated drinks, they are also having lots of caffeine in it and sugars in it, which are not revealed even to a diabetic patient. The colored drinks are also having their own disadvantages of causing so many illnesses, allergies, and even cancers. Then the S component. S component comprises of sugar sweetened beverages. Although majority of this is covered in the carbonated drinks, the so-called real, the so-called diet, the so-called healthy drinks, they are all loaded with sugars. Only thing is that we need to be very cautious. We need to read these labels first. Even the so-called soya milk products, they are loaded with sugar. The so-called lassis and all, the 30 grams in even 100 ml of fluid. If there is a one small pack which is ready to use pack, if you read, the amount will be written only in 100 ml. So if we don't apply this mind that it is the content of 100 ml, we will not be able to not be multiplying it with 2 also. So we must read the labels carefully to know the amount of sugars. The cold coffees which are served in all the cafes, all the called Starbucks, Cafe Coffee Day and all, if our children ask them how much sugar is there, they will never get an answer from the shop person. But if they look into the net, they'll come to know that around 50 to 60 grams of sugar is there in one average medium cup size coffee. And what to talk of these sugar sweetened beverages? If our health supplements are loaded with sugar sweetened sugars, and I label and I include them in sugar sweetened beverages. So we all need to, as a pediatrician, it's our responsibility not to load our children with sugars and prevent the intake of SSBs in all forms right from birth. So why this junk food is unhealthy? Because not only it is high in fat, sodium and salt, it is low in fiber and contains so many agents which can cause harm, which can cause allergies and even cancers. And the obesity, which is related, obesity is the mother of NCDs, and all forms of NCDs are much more severe and much more unmanageable if they are associated with morbid obesity. And of course, these children are disturbed, their mental health is also disturbed, they are anxious, they are depressed, they are having sleep issues, their sleeps are disrupted, fragmented. And once the sleep is also fragmented, it is an sort of an endocrine disruptor and it leads to more towards obesity. So what are the options which are left? So healthy snacks needs to be taught to these children. We can have our traditional idli, poha, upma, dhokla. All these things are good. Moong, dal chillas, with a variety of, you mix all the pulses and make a chilla. It gives you a loads of proteins. You need not rush to packets or ready-made fruits for that. Then, of course, using less energy-dense snacks and cold drinks, which can not only chelate our bones, they can damage the teeth also. So the good eating habits are that, as mentioned here, that calorie need will vary with the physical activity, but our children are almost having, when 80% of the adolescent children are already inactive. So I don't think this will carry any sense later on also. And once the majority of the children are inactive, the calorie requirement should be taken from a lower point of view, only 2000 calories roughly. So then eating small frequent meals and having family meals is the most important. You switch off or you remove the TVs from the bedrooms, you remove the TVs from the dining rooms, it works more. If the father or the mother are also having a mobile in the left hand and right hand, they are eating the food themselves, their children will not learn to leave the screens. They will also be addicted towards it. Then eating slowly, chewing the food properly, and discussing the school days activities in a day, having a quality meal time, quality family time is much more important rather than just having a meal solely sitting in front of the TV and watching the TV and going for a non-appetized based eating. Then the activity part. Activity is absolutely important. As I've already told, 80% of the world's adolescents and 74% of the adolescents in India do not have any physical activity. They need to be encouraged. The parents and the families, they need to be role models for the children. They should not adopt to resorting to taking automobiles or having this thing, trying to even walk for 1 kilometer or so and taking the cars out for that. Encouraging walking school bus is very important. And this thing, not only walking school bus will ensure for some physical activity, but it will also reduce the pollution which the world and the Delhi is facing right now. Then these being active does not require space also. The COVID has taught us that you can have even 2 feet square inch area, square feet area, and that is sufficient for your physical activity. Dancing, music, having music in the ears and just dancing at one place, that is also sufficient. So you need not look for the gardens or this playing this thing around. If you want to be active, there is no reason why you can't be active. You have to find a way out, and as parents and elders, we have to guide these children how to be active and how to stay active, so that they at least maintain the routine of being active for 1 hour in a day. And it's not essential that you have 1 hour in one go itself. You can have it in piecemeal. You want 15 minutes in the morning, you do it 15 minutes. 15 minutes in the evening, fine, it's 15 minutes. So you can add on. So it all adds on. If you have, even if you have 1 hour of physical activity and rest of the 23 hours we are sitting at one place, that may be more hazardous. So in between, we must walk around. Even the schools should have this routine that even after one period or so, there should be 1 or 2 minutes of some activity, going around, standing around, or just clapping or just jumping for 1 or 2 minutes, and that will improve their concentration, they'll improve their mental alertness, and improve their activity and their attitude towards physical activity, which is much more important, because we are not only concerned with maintaining the BMI in the childhood, we are concerned with having habits such inculcated that the child, or the when he becomes an adult, he never becomes obese, and he is able to prevent the NCDs even till geriatric age group. So our target is not weight management. Our target is to lay foundation with healthy behaviors right from the beginning, so that the person is healthy till his geriatric age group. And the worst thing which could happen to childhood is the screen, uh, which has come into his life in all forms, and destroyed his active life, destroyed his family life, destroyed his social life, because of just because of this screen. Now this screen, as you know, we include screen time as harmful only if it is recreational screen time, and it is more than roughly say 2 hours. But if now the definition has changed from being strictly restricting to 2 hours, now it says that if it is disturbing the hobby time, if it is disturbing the sleep time, if it is disturbing the family time, if it is disturbing the activity time, then it is a abnormal or a pathological screen time, I can call it in simpler words. So we need to make these children understand the importance of nutrition and physical activity. And as parents, the best way of teaching a child is not by dictating him, is by showing him the right way to do it. So practicing what we want to preach to our own children. The parents should also take a balanced diet. The boys should equally should almost eat equal to their fathers, and girls slightly more than their adults. Ensure that they take green leafy vegetables also. The children should be involved in preparation of meals. If right from the age of 4 or 5 years, I see in my own granddaughter it's herself. She is more interested in eating that meal, whichever. If she beats an egg, she is very interested in having that omelette. So if we inculcate these habits right from the before the 5 years of age, these children will be more interested in healthier diet. They should be involved in choosing the diet. They should be involving in choosing the menu. They should be involvement as per their age and according to their ability in the preparation also. Of course, taking care of the avoidance of accidents. They should be taught they should not skip any meals, and especially breakfast. Then have healthy, wholesome, tasty, and a variety of snacks which can be prepared. They at home, they can be healthy yet tasty. And that is the basic principle of which we are following for Zaika Bhi, Sehat Bhi contest by NCD Prevention Academy. And this is the third series which have started, and the theme this year, this series is rightly the school tiffin box, which mothers are often buried, and it's a point of contention in the families, in the conflict in the families, what to serve for children, for so that they eat and they enjoy as well. So this needs to be taught to these children. And of course, the schools, because child is not only being developed in the home, he is going into three environments: the home, the school, and the community. And the product which the child becomes is because he is a victim of these all these three environments. He is not we have to, once we, if we want to change the child, we have to change these three environments. So being good at home, having a healthy environment at home is not alone going to work until unless we change the school also. We on, as IAP and IAP members, we all are striving towards this, to have the recommendations for healthy school canteens, for having this thing, banning junk foods in the school canteens, and 50 meters around the schools, every school, of course. And the school should never include food as a part of punishment or rewards. Food should never be a part of any punishment or reward. So giving a child a chocolate once he scores 10 on 10 is the thing which is he is brought up with. So we need to stop that culture. The food fates and all, they should never be sponsored by the junk food industry or people. Food should never be on sale. Ek ke saath ek pizza free. That should not be there in our society. So these things have to be manipulated around the child. Then if the canteens which are available in the community are having the same content as the refrigerator at home, the child will never learn to say no to junks. So to do that, we need to follow the principles of 5-2-1-0. 5 stands for having 5 different colors of fruits and vegetables at 5 portions in a day. 2 is to restricting the recreational screen time to 2 hours in a day. 1 is for having at least moderate vigorous physical activity daily. And 0 stands for saying no to all the sugary drinks and products in the environment. Thanking you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Dr. Rekha Harish, ma'am. Thank you so much for summarizing 2 days seminar to half an hour. Excellent. You have
Thank you.
beautifully summarized, and I think our children, school children, and pediatrician also, they will be benefited much by this. Thank you, Dr. Rekha. Thank you, Dr. Rekha Harish.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Now, Dr. Richa, please introduce Dr. Anil Sood.
Thank you, Dr. Rekha ma'am. I want to just comment before introducing next. One is that the beautiful point that I could understand was that the training and the taming has to happen when we are introducing the complementary feeding. When we reach the age of adolescence, it is very late. So that I can see, I have seen in my own children also. My younger one is a little healthier, and the elder one is very skinny. So I think as we say that the psychology of a child develops when he is little, while in the preschool age group, same happens with food habits. And nani mom dadi ke jo foods hote hain, they are the winners because old is gold. So I think we should stick to them. It's very difficult. Each and every word was beautiful, ma'am. We should practically involve. We have seen in our elders, but it's little difficult to actually imbibe. But I think this lecture gives very beautiful points. And ma'am, we have one question from the audience. It is a very common question from Mrs. Madhu Sharma, who says that is refined oil harmful for health? That is her question. And what is the preference of jaggery over sugar? Should we prefer jaggery in all our drinks? So
thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the kind words of appreciation. And it's a very, very huge topic, a topic of daily interest and topic of interest to everyone of every age group, because all of us are influencing each and every other person in the family. Elders are influencing the youngsters, and youngsters are trying to modify their grandparents and parents who are outdated according to them. So regarding this question, question of refining. Refining is a chemical process. It involves the use of chemicals, and ideally, if you talk scientifically, physically refined will be better off. But it has been seen. We had a webinar on fats and oils, and the heads of lipid division from ICMR Hyderabad and NIN. We had a lot of discussion, and it was said that ultimately it does not boil down to causing very harmful side effects, and refined may be taken as the physically refined one, because it's more cost effective, because physically refined oils are definitely much more costlier as compared to the normal refined. What is more important is to monitor the N6 and N3 component and keep on rotating these oils, which is much more important. So we need not just run after the physically refined ones. If it is affordable, you want, it's fine. But if it doesn't, you can go ahead with the refinement. It's not going to harm much. This was the final dictum. And regarding jaggery is also a form of sugar. Only thing is that it is not refined one. Refined, again, refining the white, the white sugar requires a lot of refining and all, and chemical procedures which are included in that, which may not be preferable. And jaggery is around 60 to 70% is sugar only. So it's a crude form. It's a this thing. So it's your choice. The amount will reduce. The basic amount is that principle is to not avoid sugars totally in the first 2 years of life. First of all, which is very important, and IYCF has now also changed on that aspect, because earlier we were also, as residents also, once we had a patient of SAM, we were advocating addition of sugars and oils in the food of this thing, malnourished children. But now it is clear and it is scientifically proven that avoiding sugars for initial 2 years of life is very important, because it tunes the taste buds of that child to lowest limits or of the sugars, and later on also the chances of getting addicted to high levels of sugar becomes less. So curtailing that amount is very important. And fats and oils, you cannot do without it, because we need certain amounts of fats and oils for absorption of vitamins as well as for energy. But for sugars, it is just empty calories. So there that concern is not there.
Thank you, ma'am. On the behalf of IAP West Delhi, I want to welcome Dr. Alok Bhandari, who is National Joint Secretary and core of IAP West Delhi. I also welcome participants from Blooming Tree School who have joined in. I now introduce Dr. Anil Sood. Dr. Anil Sood is Secretary, Non-Communicable Diseases Prevention Academy. Sir has been a member of National Executive Board, Central IAP 2007, and he has been a chairperson of Punjab Infectious Diseases in the chapter 2015, and also President IAP Punjab 2007 and 8. We are privileged to have him. He is a member of IAP Task Force on Prevention of Lifestyle Disorders. He held this position from 2012 to 2016, and he's a national coordinator of IAP Task Force on Prevention of Non-Communicable Diseases in 2019. I welcome Dr. Anil Sood, sir. Sir will be delivering his lecture on substance abuse, how to handle.
Thank you, Dr. Devinder, Dr. Richa, and West Delhi IAP for inviting me to this forum. In fact, the Healthy Lifestyle Day was started by IAP in the year 2013 on recommendation of Dr. Rekha and myself, when we were in the task force for prevention of lifestyle disorders. Since then, every year, IAP is celebrating Healthy Lifestyle Day every year. So junk food, physical inactivity, alcohol, drugs, and air pollution are the major components which are causing increase in NCDs. So for the next 15 minutes or so, I will be talking on alcohol in adolescents and NCDs. So, alcohol abuse by adolescents has been a rising trend of alcohol abuse has been alarming, not only in India but internationally also. In a study conducted at Kerala, it was revealed that nationally about 14.6% of population consumes alcohol, and 88.8% start drinking before the legal drinking age. The prevalence of lifetime alcohol use among adolescents is 15%, and a very alarming thing is that 25% of adolescents have started excessive drinking, and mean age at onset of alcohol use has dropped down to 13 years. So all these figures are mind-boggling. The graph below shows that prevalence of teenage drinking has increased fourfold over the years.
Dr. Sood, your slides are not moving.
Okay, so I will have to restart.
No, you go to slideshow. From beginning, the corner one, you press the corner one. In the same right corner, there is slide from the beginning. From the beginning. सर आपको होम दिख रहा है? होम होम ऊपर, होम के नीचे फ्रॉम बिगिनिंग. इसी स्क्रीन में, सेम स्क्रीन में सर.
स्लाइड्स नहीं मूव कर रही हैं. हम मूव किए?
नहीं सर, अभी नहीं है. अभी उसको
नहीं,
क्लिक
अभी नहीं
करो.
move करें.
No.
No.
We'll have to start again.
I think you start again and then go to slideshow from beginning. Now it's okay. Yeah, working.
Now it should move.
Now it will move. Yeah.
Not moving in my laptop now.
Not moving. लेकिन स्लाइड शो तो शुरू हो गया. अब फॉरवर्ड का आ गया. It has moved.
It's okay?
Yeah, it's okay.
Perfect.
Yes sir, start.
The National Survey on Drug Use and Health in 2019 gave this message that more adolescents are using alcohol than tobacco or marijuana. The drinking population below 21 years has increased from 2% to 14% in the past 15 years, and the average of age of initiation has dropped from 19 years to 13 years in the past 2 decades. As adolescents get older, they indulge in drinking much more. The graph shows that binge drinking as well as the overall consumption of alcohol increases by the age of 14-15 years, as early as 14, 15 years, and it is much more during the 16 to 17 years period. And under 15 children not having alcohol in males have decreased from 44% to 30%, and under 15 children not having alcohol in females have decreased from 50% to 31%. The trends in India are also very funny. Punjab was being thought of as the state where maximum consumption of alcohol occurs, but in adolescents, the study reveals that Telangana tops in booze consumption. Now, a survey in Delhi said that there was virtually no check on the underage drinking in the national capital. I think the same is the state of affairs all over the country. The trends in the US are still grim, much more grim. 25% of the 8th graders have started alcohol abuse at least once, and more than 62% of teens have abused alcohol by 8th, 12th grade. And 2.7% of 12th graders drink daily. And 16.8% of 12th graders have 5+ drinks while consuming alcohol. So that is a alarming situation, but we should not be happy that India is behind that, but India is also following the same lines. You see young adolescents, both boys and girls, indulging in alcohol more and more. So there are various risk factors for the abuse, like social risk factors is the peer pressure, the friends in the circle or in the school, they put pressure on those who resist to drinking. And if direct pressure doesn't help, they resort to peer cross pressure. The indirect pressure is applied on those who don't like drinking. The media has a major influence, because earlier it was only the uh, TV, or you can say mobile, which was influencing them. Now the OTT has come up in a big way, and the scenes in the OTT are really ridiculous and alluring the adolescents towards drinking. Then there are family risk factors. If the parents are not supervising, because both of them are working, and the same reason applies that there is poor communication with the teenagers. These two factors are very to be thought of, that we should have communication with the children. And family conflicts also have a risk factor, and severe disciplining also is not good, because with that the children will get resilient. And if the parents are have addiction, the children see what the parents are doing and they also resort to drinking. Then permissive parental attitude is also not good. The individual risk factors are also very important. Some children, adolescents have poor impulse control, and some are emotionally unstable, and they are resort to drinking. They resort to the pressure by the peers very quickly. Then parental rejection or abuse is also one of the risk factors. चलो आज कुछ मजा लेते हैं. Fun seeking behavior is also a risk factor. Then social withdrawal, anxiety, and poor performance in the school or college can also lead the child to take to alcohol or even drugs. You can see these pictures showing that parents are themselves drinking or smoking, and what the child sees, when as the child grows, he will catch those things and start drinking at an early age. And that second is the peer pressure is very important, and there should be some way how to counter that. Now, casual drinking is taking a few drinks occasionally with friends. Alcohol abuse is a pattern of drinking excessively despite knowing the negative consequences of alcohol. Alcoholism is dependence on addiction or addiction to alcohol. has developed, that is alcoholism. The effects of alcohol can be short-term effects, acute intoxication, long-term effects. So there, I have come to know there are some children also attending the webinar. So they should understand that alcohol is not for fun. It has serious side effects. Some are short term, some are long term. So they should think a lot before indulging in such things. Short term effects are fine motor skills, speech, and vision will be affected. Diarrhea, vomiting, choking, blackouts, hangovers, disruption of normal growth, memory problems, misuse of other substances. Adolescent who is taking alcohol can also start taking other drugs. So skin flushing, poor concentration, lack of coordination, mood swings, then injuries and accidents, then social problems like violence and school absenteeism and low grades in the school. These are also quite common in adolescents who take to alcohol. Then legal problems can crop up, arrested for drunken driving. Then there are effects of acute intoxication if taken a resort to binge drinking. There can be CNS effects that related to blood alcohol contact at 20 to 30 milligram of alcohol blood level. There will be slowed motor performance and decreased thinking ability. 30 to 80 milligram increases the motor and cognitive problem. 80 to 200 milligram increased in coordination, errors of judgment, mood lability, and deterioration in cognition. And as the alcohol concentration increases, nystagmus, slurring of speech, blackouts, impaired vital signs, and it can even cause death. The effects on blood glucose can also be seen, and hypoglycemia is more common in younger children. It may due to metabolism of ethanol, the neoglucogenesis is affected, and sometimes hyperglycemia can also occur in adolescents. It is due to the increased ACTH, cortisol, or adrenaline secretion. Then hypothermia can occur because of alcohol-induced peripheral vasodilatation, depression of central nervous system, and fluid and electrolyte changes can also occur. Respiratory acidosis due to inhibition of respiratory center and raised PCO2 levels. Metabolic acidosis with increased ketone body formation can occur. Then various other electrolyte disturbances can be there. Mild to moderate dehydration can also occur. Long-term effects on the brain, it can lead to memory problems and poor concentration, and sometimes leading to coma even. In the lungs, that such adolescents are more prone to bronchitis and pneumonia. And in the liver, hepatitis, liver cirrhosis, and cancers can also develop. In the intestine, the reduced intestinal absorption will be there, and cancers can also be predisposed. Effect on the heart can lead to cardiomyopathies, arrhythmias, risk of heart attacks, then gastritis, vomiting, increased cancer risk, or the effects on stomach and kidneys. It can increases the urinary production, and it can also lead to hypertension. On the CNS, it can cause raised anxiety or raised depression, raised in risky decision making, memory deficiency can occur, subsequent abuse of other drugs, and alcohol dependence can develop. And as the child grows from adolescent to adulthood, these behavioral changes come into the play. Then there will be slower processing in the brain due to alcohol, and leading to less control of emotions and worse problem solving habits. It is thought that young brains are resilient, but it has been seen that teen brain is still in a developing stage, and alcohol can damage the brain sometimes. So every adolescent should think a lot of times before taking to alcohol. There's a strong link between alcohol and non-communicable diseases, particularly cardiovascular diseases, liver diseases, blood pressure, pancreatitis, diabetes, and some cancers also. Consumption of alcohol has been identified as one of the main determinant of NCDs, because when the adolescent is consuming or even adult is consuming alcohol, is taking more of calories, and despite the calories from alcohol, they are at the same time indulgent binge eating, and most of the food that they take is junk food, and that lot leads to non-communicable diseases. The cardiovascular side effects can be hypertension, hemorrhagic stroke, atrial fibrillation, cardiomyopathy, ischemic heart disease, increasing clotting tendency, reduced threshold for ventricular fibrillation. It is very commonly heard from people कि 2 पैक तो अब डॉक्टर भी अलाउ करते हैं. Actually, this is not true. There have been few reports that light to moderate drinking can be protective, but this is quite debatable, because once we start light to moderate drinking, then it leads to drug increased harmful drinking. And the statement that 2 पैक तो डॉक्टर भी अलाउ करते हैं has started, I think, from doctors restricting those who are taking too much of alcohol, that you should take only 45 ml, and they start saying for their benefit that doctors are allowing 2 packs a day. So there's no harm in it. It is rather beneficial. So hypertension is one of the side effects. Liver, we have already talked. Alcoholic hepatitis can occur. Elevated liver enzymes, and the gastrointestinal tract, gastritis, esophagitis, and pancreatitis. It is a cause of malignancy also. This CDC has reported alcohol is casually linked to 8 different cancers: cancer of the oral cavity, pharynx, larynx, esophagus, liver, colon, rectum, and female breasts. There is a relationship between youth and adult drinking. Once they start early, and when they grow into adults, they will definitely develop habit of drinking. They are more prone to indulge in binge drinking. Now, pediatrician has a role to play in stopping this alcohol abuse. One is that we should identify the risk factors and provide help to the parents so that they can start taking steps to prevent alcohol use. And they should also take care that the adolescent brought to them is identified whether alcohol is using alcohol or not, is getting used to it or not. Then comes the treatment. So whenever a child adolescent is brought, we do a screening, make a problem assessment, and if the problem is mild to moderate, then brief intervention may be required. If it is severe or moderate to severe, then longer term intervention might be needed. There are various screening tools, that is alcohol use disorder identification test. Audit is the main test used for alcohol screening. Craft and Cage are more used for substance abuse. Then comes the management. One is the family-based therapy. We should address the family risk factors, try to counsel the parents, try to tell them how they can be aware about the child's habits. What should they be looking for if the child has come with has been developed some habits which are strange to them. Then individual and group-based therapy, psychosocial sessions between therapist and individual or group of individuals. Then there is cognitive behavioral therapy, brief interventional interviewing, contingency management, reinforcement approach. In some countries, foreign countries, there is therapeutic community. Recovery community plays a vital role for change and emphasizing mutual self-help. That helps a lot. Then comes the pharmacotherapy. That is, the drug addiction centers are present all across the country. Prevention, identification and treatment of teenagers with risk factors, and encourage parents to support children to adopt to healthy lifestyle habits. Strict advice against alcohol use by teenagers. Promotion of health education in schools and colleges can play a vital role. Encouraging awareness programs to adolescents. This should be taken up by the schools and colleges and NGOs and the community. Community should also come forward to help such children and adolescents. The government should also have some strict action. Restriction of minimum age of legal drinking to be 21 years. Driving restriction should be implemented. Preventing advertisements of alcohol products. That is again a very important step we government should take, and support enforcement of whatever laws are made. Then legal ramifications for parent sponsorship or adolescent drinking. The media should come up in a big way. They should promote mass media campaigns about ill effects of alcohol rather than promoting the alcohol or showing those scenes which are alluring to the adolescents. And there should be they should create awareness on rehabilitation programs. Such mass media campaigns should be on the electronic media as well as in the print media. So UNICEF also has a plan of action for alcohol control, like health services response, community action. So these are various recommendations made by UNICEF, leadership awareness and commitment. The key message is the alcohol consumption among adolescents is on the rise. The overall consumption is increasing and the age of initiation is coming down. There is a direct link of adolescent drinking and adult drinking. Increased consumption of alcohol in adolescents leads to increased incidence of NCDs. Early identification of the problem by the parents is of utmost importance. Parents, community, the media, and the government all have a great role to play in prevention, management, and rehabilitation of adolescents and prevent alcohol abuse. And the whole NCDPA, Non-Communicable Diseases Prevention Academy, I acknowledge Dr. Rekha Harish, our team, Dr. Nirmala, Dr. Paula, Dr. Shalja, Dr. Deepak, and Dr. Anju. We are a good teamwork, and they are all encouraging each other to create awareness all over the country. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Anil sir, for so much information and about prevention of alcohol use and its ill effects. You explained so nicely that our student population in West Delhi and pediatricians will get a lot of benefits. Dr. Anil Sood is from Punjab and giving flavor to our webinar, national flavor. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Anil. Thank you, Dr. Sood. Thank you, sir. Dr. Richa, please.
Thank you, sir. Now I invite Dr. Saloni Seth for the next talk. Dr. Saloni Seth is a neuropsychiatrist in Sargangaram Hospital. She's graduated and postgraduated from Lady Harding Medical College. And she is also doing fellowship in child and adolescent health psychiatry. And her major areas of interest are adolescent and child counseling. And also she has dealt with de-addiction, psychotropic spectrum disorders, anxiety, and stress and depression management. And she is going to give her expert opinion on screen time in adolescence. I welcome Dr. Saloni Seth. Dr. Saloni, are you able to hear me? I think she's logged out, sir. She was there initially.
Yeah, she was there.
Yeah. Dr. Prashant is there. Dr. Saloni,
She's logged in to Dr. Prashant.
She's just joining. Give 1 minute. She's just joining. Actually, she got held up. She's just joining.
Dr. Saloni is Dr. Prashant Seth's daughter. Eminent member, Vice President of IAP Delhi, Dr. Prashant Seth, and he's also President-elect of IAP West Delhi.
नहीं नहीं फिर
And
गल करके चलो.
happy to have the young and budding neuropsychiatrist with us.
Thank you.
Dr. Saloni joins in, sir. I want any expert comments from Dr. Sangeeta and Dr. Rekha Harish on the last 3 talks that we have had, sir.
Dr. Rekha will take the call first.
डॉक्टर रेखा तो किंग है एनसीडी की.
GD King.
Yeah,
Her mission and passion.
मिशन पैशन. या किसी भी पार्टी में जाओ, आप देखोगे मैम को क्या प्लेट में होता है.
मैं 1 मिनट बात.
So my principles are two.
हर प्लेट इज
I-
खाली.
I believe in 2 principles practically. One is nip the evil in the bud,
Yeah.
and second is practice what you preach. अगर हम सिर्फ थ्योरी में बात करेंगे, कोई बच्चा नहीं सुनेगा, ना कोई बच्चा देखेगा, ना कॉपी करेगा. जो हम खा रहे हैं, जैसे हम खा रहे हैं, जिस तरीके से हम खा रहे हैं, क्या हम चूज कर रहे हैं, एवरीथिंग इज बीइंग ऑब्जर्व्ड. उसको बताने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती, बच्चे को सिखाने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती, वो खुद ही देख के सब सीख जाता है.
बिल्कुल.
और इसके लिए माँ बाप को, ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स को, स्कूल को, कम्युनिटी को बदलना बहुत जरूरी है. बच्चे
रोल मॉडल तो होना ही पड़ेगा, तभी होगा.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल. फिर स्कूल्स में भी बुरा हाल है, घर में भी बुरा हाल है. द चाइल्ड ओपन्स द रेफ्रिजरेटर एंड एवरीथिंग व्हिच इज अवेलेबल इन द community canteen या shop or mall is there in his refrigerator. Then the schools are, canteens are loaded. फिर सबकी पॉकेट में एवरीथिंग. द मोमेंट they score good marks, they are getting a chocolate. Parents are coming late. 10-12 घंटे हम मिले नहीं है, चलो चॉकलेट ले जाते हैं. So that culture, and every day some or the other birthday is there, some or the other form of celebration is there. So every celebration is loaded with sugar and fat. That's all. So जब तक हम खुद अपने आप को नहीं बदलेंगे, और मैं किसी को बदलने को नहीं कहती, I request our own conferences. I am requesting for the last 3 years to have the nutritional labeling of the meals in the pediatric conference. Even that is sufficient.
Yeah.
For us to take home the message and us to imbibe. अगर हम खुद ही नहीं करेंगे तो कौन आगे करेगा? So that is very, very important. We need to stop this thing, advising health supplements loaded with sugars. Children are having tins and tins of it. And healthy children are having it. They don't need anything. They are having everything at home. Just their parents are fond of it, tonic देना है, कुछ supplement, कुछ taste change करने के लिए देना. That is the and Indian concept that अगर एक दिन भी बच्चा दूध नहीं पिएगा तो मर जाएगा. That concept doesn't go out of the mind. कि अगर दही खा लिया है तो वो they are not satisfied. नहीं, आज इसने दूध नहीं पिया, and then they have to supplement it. So we need to change our conference menu first. जब तक हम अपने कॉन्फ्रेंसेस का मेन्यू नहीं चेंज करेंगे, हमें कुछ नहीं करने की जरूरत. आई एम नॉट सेइंग यू स्टॉप ईटिंग जंक फूड, यू जस्ट गो टू दैट न्यूट्रिएंट लेबलिंग. जो हमारा खाना सर्व हो रहा है उसका अगर हम न्यूट्रिएंट लेबलिंग साथ लगा दे, इट बिकम्स एन इन्फॉर्म्ड कंसेंट. Like if you want to undergo this surgery, it is fine. It is you don't want to undergo your surgery, it is your consent is required to consume that much. So अपने आप restriction हो जाएगी, अपने आप एक habit सी develop हो जाएगी. So that is required. हमें बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरत है. We need to all to correct. I am at fault, so I have to correct myself first to teach anyone. That is my concept. That is why I say the first junk food which you can give to the baby is anything besides mother's milk. And the first complementary feeding, that is also should not be a tinned food. It should be from the home kitchen. So if you start with that concept, don't give salts and sugars in infancy. Don't give sugar till 2 years. आपका बच्चा कैसे नहीं ठीक होगा? Everything will be fine.
Dr. Sangeeta, thank you, Dr. Rekha ma'am. Dr. Sangeeta ma'am, comments from you.
Dr. Rekha Harish has beautifully highlighted the concept and taken us forward and tried to instill what we need to follow. There is absolutely no doubt that NCDs, obesity are actually taking the toll on this generation, the one which we have created. That is what. And we are the ones who have to show them the path so that our next generation has a better life. And I know climate is not related to this, but these are the two things which are actually taking the toll for the next generation of the globe. That is what is there. And Dr. Pemde had very nicely elaborated how we need to address through the adolescent forum these issues. Just sorry about that. Somebody just landed up. So, and plus, Dr. Sood has also talked about alcohol and the substance abuse, which has been glamorized in our whole society. So these three things are, I'm sure our audience have really benefited through these three topics which have been selectively taken up. And our wonderful speakers have enlightened us about it. And what more to say? I think it is our commitment towards them, and we, like Dr. Rekha Harish said, we should be going about it. And I work on these forums weekly. Last week, I gave the talk related to obesity in the Adolescent Conference in Calcutta. And in Chandigarh, I'm going to talk about metabolic syndromes. So I breathe in and breathe out these topics. So that's why I was appreciating Dr. Gaba and Dr. Richa. And all the best for this wonderful event, which successfully you have conducted, and the best wishes to you. And I'm sure even in future, you will be taking up these public health issues, which you have been taking up of late also related to allergies also. And let's see how much difference we can make.
Thank you so much.
We all are in it together.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
We are honored. We are
Ma'am,
honored.
I feel that we all celebrate with food. We have to find another way of celebration in our Indian setup, the parents, even us, because whenever our children score well, we party out. We go for a movie, we take a cola and popcorn. So I think it's important that when our children score well, then we go out for a sports activity, ask our children, let's go for cycling, let's go for trekking. So that kind of a thought process has to be inculcated where the gratification sensation is being achieved not with food, but with other activities.
We should exemplify by Richa's family. We are doing like that.
No, I'm going to start
Exactly.
off, sir, today
Exactly.
with me, as Dr. Rekha Harish ma'am said, that it's not that our refrigerator is not stocked with processed food. So it's going to be a big journey to change my own self. And only then I
Regarding
will be able to
celebrations,
change others.
because you are taking your children out on cycling and all,
Yes,
trekking, cycling. That is what.
my husband is a
That
very
that
sports and he's a
yes,
fitness freak. So he
yeah.
tries to keep, and all these we take sattu in summers, and we try to take bale sharbat also. But I am little lagging behind. So I think I'll be able to start, give a kick start after this.
I have made the 5 minutes film of Dr. Rekha Harish in the Pedicon. Last Pedicon. What was there in a plate?
Oh my
It was
God.
just empty plate.
Oh God. I hope you're not showing it here.
No, no, I'll not show. No, it doesn't contain anything. It is almost empty plate. That is what I want. I keep on just to stimulate myself. I see that film.
I would like to see that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. If any, Richa, any question from audience, any teacher
Anybody
or
wants to
student?
give a comment can raise hand, or if
Yes,
anybody wants to ask anything.
Saloni is in some emergency.
Dr. Saloni will not be able to join.
She's in some emergency case in Gangaram Hospital. So if, ma'am, 2 minutes, if you can speak about screen timing, screen time.
So, whom do you want? Dr. Sangeeta, ma'am, or?
Dr. Sangeeta, yes.
No, what was it?
Screen time, ma'am.
Acha, related to screen time.
Right, ma'am.
That we, as per the WHO, we all know that less than 2 years, absolutely no for the screen time.
Yeah.
And between 2 to 5 years, it has to be supervised with an adult. They watch and they analyze. And after the age of 5 or 6, it has to be not more than 1 hour per day. And we all know that the screen time now is becoming a little difficult after with this COVID era, because a lot of things are gone virtual, and so you have to differentiate the screen time for the educational purpose or related to the education, and the one which is related to social and entertainment has to be different. So the one which is related to social and entertainment has not to be more than 1 hour per day, and educational we cannot avoid, which they say it can amount to anywhere around 4 to 6 hours per day of that. But then more important is that it has to be inculcated with the physical activity. So physical activity has to be taken into account. And if your screen time is more than an hour, at least like Dr. Rekha Rish had mentioned, at least 1 hour of physical activity also is important, and which can be indoors or outdoors. See, earlier it used to be outdoors, but now it at times it has to be indoors. So we have to create that kind of atmosphere uh, to have that. And now, since the COVID is now at the tail end and nothing, as long as it does not come and impact, so one should encourage the physical activity. So it has to be a balance, and long ago we had shown that there has to be a balance between the nutritional intake, physical activity, and the screen time. They're all a close triangle which has to be balanced out.
Thank you, ma'am. Good information. Any question, Richa, from the students?
No, not as of yet, sir. No questions.
Okay.
Then we will wind off, sir.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think call it a day. And I want to thank my formal gratitude to all the members, to the eminent faculty who has joined in, Dr. Rekha Harish, Dr. Harish Pende, Dr. Sangeeta, and Dr. Anil Sood, and Dr. Saloni also, for she could not join, and my IAP West Delhi members, the schools from OPG World School, Blooming Tree, ITEL Public School, teachers, and all the participants and students. And I hope the students who are still left here, that they will try to make some changes, at least start exercising, if not totally curtailing on the food. And I thank my president, Dr. Devendra Gaba of IAP West Delhi. Sir has been a constant pillar of support to me throughout the year. He has stood by me in all the activities equally. And I'm blessed to have him as a president of IAP West Delhi along with him. And I wish that we are able to spread this message of healthy lifestyle day and we are able to follow it practically in our day-to-day lives. And once again, thank you to all those who have logged in.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Rekha, Dr. Sangeeta, Dr. Anil Sood. Thank you so much. Thank you.
And happy Children's Day to all once again.
Dr. Jaswinder, hello. कुछ पार्टिसिपेंट अभी भी हैं.
Yeah, Aryan Yadav, Mrs. Madhu Sharma and Dr. Jaswinder Batra. Thank you so much, sir, for joining in. The initial session was a little, there was a little noisy. I hope it was okay with all of you.
If any questions still you have, you can send to Dr. Richa or me anytime.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Madhu, for active participation. Thank you so much.
ठीक है फिर रिचा.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you.
Okay.